licensing and cannabis retail in New York State. And today we have Howard Hoffman, who's the CEO of Omnium Canna. We have Roland, who's the founder and CEO of Smacked Dispensary. We have Arana Hankin-Biggers, who is the president of Union Square Travel Agency. And we have Bernardo, who is the president of Housing Works. We have Marvin Morales, the founder of the Morales Family Farms. And the moderator is my dear, dear friend, Kristin Jordan of the Asian Cannabis Roundtable, the Maze, Manada, all the things. Enjoy your conversation, folks.
Thank you, Tanya. All right, welcome. So let's get into it. We want to hear from our licensees, our first round of licensees in New York State for adult use cannabis. Let's give them a big round. This has been a big year, huh? Okay, so how did we get here? So on February 22nd, 2022, Governor Hochul signed into law bills creating the adult use conditional cultivator and adult use processor licenses, which authorize previously licensed hemp growers who had grown hemp for at least 2 seasons to cultivate cannabis, and licensed hemp processors who were licensed prior to January 1st, 2022 to extract and process cannabis. The AUCP license also permits distribution. I understand that the extender bill, which was supposed to sunset today, was extended for a year. We thank Governor Hochul for giving that us that assurance that we can continue to distribute and process our products. Okay, so the application window for the AUCCs was March 15 to June 30th, 2022, this time last year, with a total of 280 total licenses awarded for AUCCs, adult use conditional cultivators. The application window for the AUCP license, the adult use conditional processor license, was June 28 to August 31st, 2022, with a total of 40 total licensees in that category. Then on August 25th, 2022, the Office of Cannabis Management launched the Conditional Adult Use Retail Dispensary License, known as CARD, as part of the Seeding Opportunity Initiative, by which New York's first adult use retail dispensaries would be operated by those most impacted by the enforcement of cannabis prohibition, as well as eligible nonprofit organizations. To qualify, one need to have a marijuana-related offense conviction that occurred prior to the passage of the MRTA on March 31st, 2021, or have had a parent, legal guardian, child, spouse, or dependent with a pre-MRTA marijuana-related offense conviction in the state of New York, and also have experience owning and operating a qualifying business. The window for the CARD applications was August 25th to September 26th, and to date, we've had 215 CARD licensees awarded. So let's hear from our licensees. So we're gonna go in supply chain order. And I'm so proud to introduce my friend and client, Marv Morales. Marv is the CEO and founder of the Morales Family Farm. He is in Livingston, New York, about 7-hour drive? 5-hour drive, okay. And Marv is what we believe to be the only Puerto Rican, Native American, Jewish, veteran who is a conditional cultivator in New York State. So please welcome Marv Morales.
Thank you. Thank you.
Marv, we'd love for you to tell us a little bit about your journey. How did you get to this stage?
So I started in about 2005. I moved out here from Colorado, and I started growing organic vegetables. And in 2019, I began growing hemp for the CBD, on the CBD side, and that was with my aspirations to grow the cannabis itself. So last year when it became available, I was licensed, I got my license, and like Kristin said, from what I understand, I'm the only Latino or licensed Latino grower in the state. Let's see, I was in the Air Force. I did 10 years in the Air Force. I'm in Mount Morris. And I really enjoy growing this plant. I think it's fantastic that we have this opportunity. Hopefully it will continue to grow and expand for not just the processors and the dispensaries and so forth, but also for the small farmers, which is very important because I feel that the small farmers are the backbone. Obviously, as a farmer, I've been growing for quite some time, and it's because of the farmer that we get to eat. So that's very important. I'm also an organic farmer, which I really believe in, producing organic products. So it's a pleasure to be here. I really am grateful to be able to be here and to be able to do this. And I'm really looking forward to this being a very, very huge and profitable industry in New York. I'm really hoping for that.
Thank you, Marv. And so next I want to introduce and ask to also share your journey to Howard Hoffman. Howard is the only Filipino processor and is proudly sporting an Asian Cannabis Roundtable button. Come see us at our booth at booth 245. Howard's out on Long Island. Love for you to tell us a little bit about your journey.
Thank you all for attending, and my colleagues here, especially you, Marv. I know where you're suffering, and thank you for all your hard work. So, what a journey, all. It's been a trials and tribulation. I started with manufacturing supplements, nutraceuticals, and pharmaceuticals. I believe in health, that health comes from natural plants. For example, we're organic beings, mean to eat organic foods. So cannabis to me was just another subsection of that. It's medicinal, it's healing. All of you guys know the journey, and thank you for all, again, attending with us and being a part of this prohibition of cannabis. But yeah, the journey for me for cannabis is really how do we create a plant matter that's consumable, that heals. Oh, close. Sorry, y'all. Oh, there you go. So the whole process for me, it was a struggle. From finding a property that we could manufacture, from finding inputs such as Marv that has biomass that actually passes up all C of A's, because there's a lot of contaminants that we're finding in New York. So I love how you grow organically. And then connecting with supply chain leaders such as everyone up here. I'm getting lost. I'm sorry, Kristin.
Oh, that's okay. Tell us a little bit about the process of applying for the license.
Wow. A lot of money, a lot of attorneys, and a lot of legal battles. It wasn't easy.
Thank you, Howard. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, next on to the stage, we've got Mr. Roland Connor from Smack Village. Could you tell us a little bit about how you got to the stage?
Mine was more of a journey of love. You know what I'm saying? It was more so about my son. I have a business right now. It's called Vantage Real Estate Group, in which we house the homeless. We have 18 beds out in the Bronx, and that's what I was doing since 2008. My son, he's part of the legacy market like myself. He's 25 years old. And I just saw him going down a particular path that was very familiar to me. And what I wanted to do was, I understood that the laws in New York were changing. And I told him, there's an opportunity here. If you're going to do something, do it the right way. There's no need to go to jail for weed anymore. So let's go about doing it the right way. I just thought it was going to be like a liquor license or something, and then all of a sudden it turned into,
far from it.
Yeah, far from it, man. So, it was really a journey of love for my son, and really being able to, kids get away from you, they get older, they get away from you, and it's just been amazing to see him light up and to share this journey with him. And actually, he made the first sale at our store, and he made that sale to me. So, he went from, legacy market to the legal market, and it was a journey that we all went on. And I'm just grateful for the fact that that was something that I could share with my son. And, he actually opens the store, closes the store. He's learning a lot about entrepreneurship. This is not an easy thing that we went through as far as being one of the first social equity dispensaries open, and also black-owned dispensary in New York on Bleecker Street. Imagine that, right? So I don't know, it's just been a journey, and I really appreciate the time and the effort that I get to spend with my family. My wife is also in the audience, and she's our Chief Financial Officer. And it's just been a learning journey for all of us, man. So, to everybody in here, thank you for inviting me. And this has been a journey. And I'm looking forward to actually being able to help others like myself from this journey of legacy to legal, and really being a place where people can really come and understand what's going on. And we also started a foundation called the SMAC Foundation. We are at booth 652. And we're looking at this SMAC Foundation to give opportunities to people like myself and others who really want to know what this business is like and want to get into it. This industry is big. It's not just about retail. It's also about, it's from seed to consumption, and there's a big industry. And we want to be able to share that with a lot of individuals. We want to make sure that, for people who want to just be bud tenders, or people who want to be inventory clerks, or people who just want to know what the business is like, we want to help them along that journey. So if you want to find out more about it, SMAC Foundation, my man Tony Blunt, my man Unefa, my wife, we will be over there. We'll answer any questions that you guys want. And, just come out, check us out, and help us along the journey.
Roland, can you remind us the address for the dispensary?
144 Bleecker Street. Right now, we're temporarily closed for renovations. I wish I could share on the screen some of the beautiful work that Temecula Group is doing. And it's really exciting. And I just really hope that you all can join us on our grand opening.
Thank you, Roland. Thank you. All right, next we'd like to hear from Arana Hankin-Biggers. Arana's from Union Square Travel Agency. We'd love to understand how you got to the stage.
Yeah, so I was really inspired to pursue a license because of the intent behind the merchant legislation. So my background is in politics and economic development policy, and I used to work for an elected official from Harlem, David Patterson, and stayed with him until he became the governor of New York State. And we really were focused in that administration on providing opportunities to people of color and to women. And we did a lot of work around that effort. At the end of the administration, I went to the Economic Development Agency of the state to oversee large-scale real estate development projects, including the Atlantic Yards project, where the private sector was committed and made commitments to give back to local community in terms of affordable housing, job opportunities, but also opportunities for entrepreneurs. And I had just been involved in all these various different policy initiatives that had made these grand promises. Much of it was never really delivered to communities of color. So I was inspired by the intent behind the legislation, the opportunities that were being created for communities of color in this bill, which were incredibly unique to be a part of this, $5 billion industry. And so I partnered with some old real estate folks, some new partners as well, in pursuit of a license. And we knew very early on that we wanted to contribute to a not-for-profit that was giving back to a community of color or to communities of color. And we connected with the Doe Fund very, very early on before the card application was actually released. And the Doe Fund, as you all know, if you know of the work of the Doe Fund, I'm sure you've seen the folks who are involved in the organization throughout the city because they wear blue jumpsuits and cleaning up the streets in partnership with BIDS, like in Times Square in downtown Brooklyn. And the Doe Fund's been around for over 30 years. They've served over 30,000, primarily black and brown folks who were formerly incarcerated, formerly homeless. And so we partnered with them, and they're the majority owner of the dispensary. And my company is a private operator with a number of incredible folks on our team. Many are here. We have a booth here as well, but who come from the cannabis sector. We also are really committed to supporting BIPOC women-owned brands. We have additional partnerships with Doe Fund graduate Terrence Coffey, who started this Cannabis Justice and Equity Initiative. He's an adjunct professor at NYU. The organization has developed a curriculum in concert with Cornell University to train and employ formerly incarcerated. We also have a partnership with Unlock, which was started by Vlad Bautista, Jesse Campanor, and others to help convert legacy operators to the legal space. So everything we do, is really grounded in giving back to community and participating in this incredible economy, but in trying to figure out new creative ways to give people of color opportunities to be a part of this new economy.
Thank you, Arana. Welcome to the stage. So on December 29th, 2022, I was standing in line at Housing Works. I'm sure many of you were as well. Couldn't wait to get into the doors. Welcome to the stage, Matt Bernardo from Housing Works.
Thank you. So Housing Works got into the cannabis industry as an extension of our social enterprise. So Housing Works has been around for over 30 years. Where primarily we serve people affected by HIV and AIDS that are homeless and criminally justice involved individuals. So primarily this was a way to extend our social enterprise, which we have 10 thrift stores and a bookstore cafe, to raise money for those clients. So on the 29th, we did open. We got the license, I believe, on the 21st of November. It was definitely a sprint. We really looked at it like an opening for a gala. We said we're going to put a deadline and we're going to work backwards. And the things that we did was really project manage it and say that everything can't be perfect, but we're going to make it the best that we can in this time frame, because our philosophy around all of our stores really was that we don't have time to sort of have patient capital. Our stores are really meant to return money very quickly, get profitable very quickly. So that was our point, is we really were committed to be in the first mover. We did it like an event. We did some education early on, learning about 280 and all that fun stuff, going to conferences. But really, one of the things that is key, and I would think it's key for a lot of card holders, is Housing Works was blessed to have the infrastructure to be able to do this. Having an HR department, having an IT department to figure out how all these softwares work together and debug everything. Making sure that you have a good procurement process, because everybody you're seeing and you're interviewing vendors all the time, and those kind of things are like, you want to make quick decisions. And we really did figure out like who are the decision makers for this project and making sure we can make quick decisions and get out quickly. So and I would have to say that our experience has been really good so far. We're really happy to be part of the community. It feels like some of our other stores, but we're just selling something different. But the community and the energy is very similar.
Thank you so much, Matthew. All right. So this is our first round of licensees for New York. These are the folks who took the lead. So with that, I'm always looking for advice. You guys were the first movers and shakers in our industry. We've gone through that initial experience where you've opened doors. We have a full supply chain, and we're looking at a whole new round of licensees, license pool applicants that are going to open up very soon. So what advice could we give those new applicants from our lived experiences? And I'll go first. One of the things that I think is super helpful in this industry is going to events like this, meeting people, networking. And I happen to run a newsletter called The Maze Calendar, M-A-Z-E, which is a free resource. It's themazecalendar.com, and it lists all the New York advocacy, industry, and community events. So please check it out. It's free. Sign up, and you'll get it on Monday. My husband helps me with that. So now I'd like to ask the panelists for some advice for our potential licensees. Marv, what do you think in terms of other cultivators and farmers out there that might want to try a hand at this? What piece of advice would you have liked to have known before you got into this, besides get more money?
Yeah, well, that's the main one, is the amount of funds it takes just to get this going. And then secondly, as a farmer, just in general, farming is very hard. It's hard work. But cannabis in particular is even more challenging, because when you grow, I've been growing vegetables since 2005, and if I have a bell pepper, I can compete against another bell pepper that someone else is growing. But when it comes to cannabis, you have better know what you're doing and understand how to grow this plant so that you can get the most out of the plant, because there is a lot of competition, And so, yeah, you know, I make sure that you understand that you have the funds available to do this with.
Capital. Howard, we came down to the wire yesterday with wondering whether or not we'd be able to continue to process and distribute products. I'm sure that was a little bit nerve-wracking for my clients as well. What other things have been challenges in your space, and what kind of advice could you give our audience?
Well, the first thing is I would agree with you. Network as much as possible. Be due diligent in your process and know exactly where you want to go. I believe life is like navigation. If you don't know the exact address of where you're going, so just stay hyper-focused. Focus on your journey with joy and passion, and just execute. And again, yes, that was very nerve-wracking. So, but we extended to now, I think, June 1st of 24.
June 1st of 2024, I understand. Yeah.
Network.
Awesome. Mr. Connor.
I would say that the biggest thing for me was just realizing that it's a marathon and not a sprint. Pace myself, meet my own expectations, you know, because a lot of times, you know, people think that as soon as you get into the marijuana business, there's money, you know, you can grow money. That's what they say, oh, you're going to be able to grow money. And that's not the case. There's a lot of learning that has to actually happen. This is not it's not a business that people, they make you think that you can just jump in and just make things happen. But, you know, you got to be around some really smart people, and you have to be able to discern those individuals that you start to deal with, making sure that they have their your best intentions in mind. And, you know, it's a business at the end of the day. And just really just do your due diligence and make sure that, like I said, it's not a race. It is a race, but it's not a sprint. It is a marathon. Take your time and learn what you need to learn and keep going.
Thank you, Roland. Arana, could you remind us first of the address for Union Square Travel Agency?
The address?
Yes, please.
So we're in our interim pop-up location at 62 East 13th between Broadway and University. We're opening up in our permanent space on the corner of 13th and Broadway, hopefully, if all goes well, around mid-July. So definitely come visit us if you haven't.
Amazing.
Yes.
Drop some pearls of wisdom for us.
So, I mean, just piggyback on what Roland said, you definitely need to surround yourself with really great people, smart people, and, you know, take an honest assessment about what you don't know, and bring people on your team who are smarter than you and have as much experience in cannabis as possible, because running a cannabis dispensary is not like running any other retail operation. It's, you know, leagues way more difficult and way more complicated, especially in a highly regulated market with a lot of moving parts in New York State. In New York City, in Manhattan, with the most competitive retail market in the world, probably. The other thing I would say is you have to put aside way more money for marketing than you would ever have imagined. We have a tremendous marketing budget, primarily because there's just so much competition from the illicit market. And it's really, really difficult to bring in the number of customers you need in order to meet our revenue goals. And then just the last thing I would say is, you know, get involved in the community, get involved in lobbying efforts. You know, 280E is still in place here in New York City. That should not be the case. That's a technical oversight. We should be working together to eliminate 280E at the city level. It's already been eliminated at the state level. Why has the city not yet eliminated 280E? So, you know, it's a very political, I have a political background, so I
think Dashita is here.
Dashita is here, but this industry is highly political, so you really need to get involved with building relationships with local elected officials and government officials, the folks who are making these decisions and making these changes. And the last piece I would say, just hire a really smart accountant, because
good advice.
With all the taxes we're paying, it's very, very, very difficult to make money.
That's right.
That's the advice I would give.
Good advice. And Matt, remind us the address for Housing Works.
750 Broadway.
What's across
Astor
the street?
Place, 8th Street.
Thank you.
And Broadway. You know, this is just from our experience, so it may not work for everyone, but I would say, like to give advice in threes. So one is get open quickly. So sometimes you would make don't make the perfect the enemy of like the speed. So I think you have the opportunity to be first mover. You know, get open. There's all shapes and sizes of real estate. You have real estate that needs a lot of work. You have real estate that might have been an old Gap store like we did. And so you can always look at those things. So we tried to be opportunistic in real estate, really look at your locations. Two is spend enough time with your POS system. That's probably the one area that we, you know, in the speed to get open, we really wish we had more than 2 weeks. Because you're really going to have to work out all the kinks, whether they integrate with the online systems and the POS, PIN debit, all that stuff. So, you know, make sure you have enough time for the not sexy stuff, the stuff that really, to get to a transaction. Getting to a transaction, doing a transaction is the most important thing. And those things are not the shiny objects. They're the things you should be focused on. And then third, bud tenders are your kings. They are your business. They are ones that are going to create your customers, have them come back, the trust of it. They're the ones that test all of our product at Housing Works. So if they come in, if something comes in, we want to be the edited. We want everyone to leave Housing Works with, I had a good experience and that the product was good. And part of that is editing that product to make sure that we feel comfortable with it. So all those things are really important. There's 1,000 other things. Great suggestions from the other folks on the board.
And may I just mention a nonprofit organization called Hospitality Pathways that actually trains bud tenders, and I believe that many of you have engaged several of their graduates to their program. They do wonderful work. Check them out. All right, so we have some time for Q&A. So let's take a couple questions from the audience. We have somebody who's going to be walking with the mic. Just raise your hand. Yes. Just wait for the mic. So we've got one down here and one halfway back.
Thank you all for doing this panel. My question for you all is, what do you wish you had known before you opened or began operation, and what mistakes did you make that you wish you could have undone?
I think we had the first one already. So let's talk about mistakes that you might have made. Nothing egregious. And nothing. Go ahead, Marv. What do you think? Real quick answer.
Mistakes?
Mistake you might have made. You wish you hadn't.
Well, personally, I just probably having investors, I would say. Since I was already farming, that wasn't really an issue for me. But probably not having investors.
Not having investors.
Yeah, not having investors.
Got it. Howard?
Find a landlord that's okay with cannabis.
That part. I'm a real estate broker. I can help you. Roland, got anything? Mistake you made.
Mistakes, opening too quickly.
Ooh.
Yeah, not having enough time to prepare.
I'm going to leave that alone. Arana?
I totally agree with that. Opening too quickly and not like laying the groundwork in the local community to build the relationships that you need in order to have a successful business. Yeah.
Matt?
I would say the POS system. Just make sure that all the things, like being able to take PIN debit on day one, because you'll have lines if you're just taking cash on day one. So those things we wish we had a little bit more time to perfect.
Thank you. We had a question in the middle here somewhere? Yes, sir. That's you.
So how badly are the unlicensed operators hurting you guys? And what's being done by the state and city to help you address that, get them shut down?
We have one or two people answer that one. Anybody want to take that? Unregulated market arena?
I mean, they're certainly hurting us tremendously. I don't think we could state it too much. I mean, right now, I think there's 1,700. I think, we've learned that people shop where it's convenient for them to buy cannabis. And unfortunately, the average New Yorker does not understand the difference between a licensed and an unlicensed dispensary. They don't understand the value in shopping at a licensed dispensary, so they're not going to take an extra trip, right, if there's a beautiful unlicensed dispensary down the block from them. So it's certainly hurting us, which is why I led earlier with saying how important marketing is, right? That's our number one spend item is on marketing, because we have to work really hard to get people in the door. But the governor included, I guess the legislature included in this budget bill that passed recently, an allocation of $16 million for the Department of Tax and Finance to hire 75 employees to really focus on enforcements, and the state now has the ability to impose, from what I understand, a $20,000 fine a day, up to a $20,000 fine a day for retailers and landlords. And they're launching kind of this new enforcement initiative this month. So I'm hopeful, hopefully everyone else is hopeful, that we'll start to see the closure of these illicit stores, or unlicensed stores rather. But it's going to be a process, a long, painful process for sure.
Complicated issue. I think we had one more question in the back.
Hey, everybody. Congratulations to everybody on the stage about all of your hard work and achievements. I'm working on a consumption lounge in LA, West Hollywood. We've been working on it for several years. I'd like to, when we open and we're a big hit, by the way, we're taking investment money if anybody's interested, come to me. But I'd like to be in Manhattan eventually, and I'd like to know what's the latest on the consumption lounges, if anybody has any insight.
We're still waiting on regs. I can answer that real quick.
Yeah, I think there's some pilot stuff that they're trying with events. So we've heard like outlines of it, but I think it's one of those you have to bring a good solid idea to maybe advance it that way.
Yeah. Time for one more question. Yes, sir. Mike is coming to you.
Hi, I had a question mostly for the farmer. I was noticing that the menus in New York are really indica and hybrid heavy, and everything looks and smells very similar. I was wondering if it's viable to grow more sativa, and if New York will ever have more variety in strains.
So yeah, that would be the goal. I think probably the sativa is going to be in greater demand because the indica produces such a low, it's more of a
heavy vibe.
Yeah, heavy. The sativa is more energetic. You get more. So that's my goal. That's what I'm shooting for, and I believe, based on all the farmers that I know, they feel the same way. So hopefully we'll get there. I think that it's really available. I think it's already available. We just have to sort it all out and figure out which strains we should be growing, in regard to that, and also how to engineer those strains, so that we improve and we get better results and get a better product out there as far as the state of New York goes. So I'm really hoping that the farmers get all the help that they need to accomplish this and to grow. Right now, just personally right now, a lot of farmers are hurting, and they need help. They really need help. So there's a group called the CFA. It's an alliance of farmers, and we're hoping to be able to grow that and get 60%, 70% of the farmers to join this group so that we have more of a voice and that we can express our needs and what we where we're hurting and how we can be helped.
So what you've heard,
Thank you,
Marv. What you've heard today is that we need to be advocates. We need to be business advocates. We need to understand what's happening on the state level. We need to get involved on the municipal level and the community level. Please give a warm applause for our licensees, and please meet us outside to speak to the speakers.
Thank you.
Thank you.